who faces setbacks, slow days, and problems. But instead of quitting, he persists. He says, "This is part of the process. Success is not immediate. I will keep going until I see results, and in time, results come." His persistence is rewarded. His business grows. His dream becomes real. Two men, one dream, two endings. The difference is persistence. So let me give you the challenge for this rule. Decide today that you will never quit on a worthy goal. Decide that you will persist until it works, until it grows, until it becomes real. Expect obstacles, for they will surely come. Expect discouragement, for it will surely visit. But when it comes, remind you endings. The difference is persistence. So let me give you the challenge for this rule. Decide today that you will never quit on a worthy goal. Decide that you will persist until it works, until it grows, until it becomes real. Expect obstacles, for they will surely come. Expect discouragement, for it will surely visit. So, this is the test. This is what separates the 95% who fail from the 5% who succeed. Most will turn back, but you will persist. And because you persist, you will succeed. Remember this: persistence is the iron quality. It is the rare habit that guarantees results in the end. Talent without persistence leads nowhere. Vision without persistence remains a dream. Even discipline without persistence fades away. But persistence, joined with purpose, joined with attitude, joined with service, makes success inevitable. Rule 9 is persistence. It is the daily decision to continue when others stop. And in the next part, we'll uncover the final rule, the crowning habit that gives meaning to all the others. For without it, even success feels empty. But with it, your life becomes rich, not only in money, but in fulfillment. Here is the final rule, and it is the one that brings all the others together into a complete and meaningful life. Without it, every success you build will eventually feel hollow. And in the next part, we'll uncover the final rule, the crowning habit that gives meaning. Without it, wealth will leave you restless. Fame will leave you empty. Even achievement will feel shallow. But with it, your life takes on a depth and a richness that nothing else can supply. The rule is this: true success is found in service beyond self. It is the habit of making your life about more than what you can get. Your life takes on a depth and a richness that nothing else can supply. But about what you can give. The rewards of life are always in exact proportion to the service you render. And when you make service the center of your efforts, life rewards you not only with money, not only with opportunity, but with peace, fulfillment, and the quiet knowledge that your days have mattered. Most people never earn this. They believe success is about taking more, grabbing more, securing more for themselves. They think the way to win is to hold tightly, to fight for every scrap, to guard what little they have. And yet, the irony is that those who live this way always end in lack. Their lives shrink, their relationships sour, their opportunities dry up. Why? Because life is built on contribution. The river flows because it gives. The tree grows because it produces fruit. The sun shines because it pours out light. And the man or woman who withholds, who refuses to give, who lives only for self, cut.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna start. It's 9:01. So we're gonna start right away. Is our May edition of our Crib Talks series. And we're going to be looking at a very, very important topic today. But before we go on, I'm going to say a word of prayer, and I'm going to say a word of prayer, and then we will proceed. Father, we thank you this evening. Thank you for this wonderful time to share. Thank you for this opportunity to pour out. We ask for wisdom. We ask for understanding. We ask that you grant us direction, grant us insight into what we need to know, even as we journey in life, as we navigate life, and as we grow to become better versions of ourselves. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray. Amen. So I'm going to be looking at a very very important topic. It says before the applause. Before the applause. If you can hear me, um, please signify in the chat box. Just say something so I know you can hear me. Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to get something. So usually, naturally there is this desire to be seen. You might call it popularity, you might call it fame. It goes by different names, yeah. But generally, there's usually this desire to want to be seen. I mean, you want to do stuff and you want people to take note of what you're doing, whatever you are, the efforts you're making as a person, as a young person, in whatever sphere of influence, which is completely fine. which is completely fine. But one of the things I really want to help us establish is before we talk about, excuse me, before we talk about, the applause, before we talk about the recognition, there is usually something that precedes that. That's something I want us to look at. Just by way of definition, before the applause simply talks about the hidden process. Yeah, there's a hidden process of identity formation, discipline, character development that happens before public recognition. So there's usually that process where you are being formed. Discipline is being formed, character is being formed. That process that goes on before public recognition or external validation. That is what we mean by before the applause, right? Before we go on, let me make a statement. Before the applause talks about the internal foundation behind external visibility. So, for instance, you're building a house, right? Or you want to build a house. There's definitely the need to set up a strong foundation on which that building is going to sit. Usually, many persons would pay attention to the aesthetics, the external features, the decorations that go on. But beyond that, there is a foundation. And that foundation is something you must pay attention to. Because if the foundation is not strong enough, no matter how much beauty the building has, it might not be sustainable. It might not just be sustainable. So that's something we want to look at. The next thing I want to, briefly talk about is what I call the psychology behind the applause. The psychology behind the applause. There's a way the human mind or, the human mind works. First of all, first point I want to make is people naturally associate visibility with value. But that's not the truth. People usually would associate visibility with value. You see someone is out there, the person seems to be visible, right? The person seems to be doing a lot. But there's really nothing much going on the ground. So what I'm trying to communicate is first point, visibility is not the same thing as value. Just because you are out there doesn't mean you have content. Doesn't mean you have value. So what it automatically means is that you must learn to prioritize value over visibility. Very important. Prioritize value over what? Visibility. The next point is social validation triggers dopamine response. There's something called dopamine. It's that, sweet feeling. I use the word sweet. It's that sweet feeling you get when you think of achieving something. Let's say, for instance, you want to travel. Maybe you want to travel out of the country and you've not left the country before, right? I remember the very first time I was to take flight. I don't know if, how many of you have had that experience. But the very first time I was to take flight, I think I slept less than 5 hours because I was feeling good, like I was feeling excited about the thought of taking flight for the first time. Made me excited. That thing is called dopamine response, right? It's a faculty in your brain. So social validation triggers dopamine release or dopamine response. So that thought of, oh, I am being recognized, out there, right? People validate what you do, as it were. People validate you. People, there's a form of recognition attached to who you are. It releases that dopamine response. But that should not be what drives us, right? That should not be what drives you as a person. The next point is the both points I made, the 2 points I made earlier, they create pressure to be seen early. First, the fact that people naturally associate visibility with value. So there's that, um, I might want to use the word pressure. There's usually that pressure to want to, do so much to be seen. And then the next point is the social validation that triggers dopamine. So the both of them usually we create that pressure to want to be seen early. You want to be out there early. You see people doing stuff, you see people out there. Social media has made it even worse, right? You see a lot of guys supposedly doing a lot of things, and you want to be like them. You want to also be visible. So that pressure is usually there. But it's completely opposite. It's not supposed to be the case. Now, what's the problem with this? I'm going to try as much as possible to run because I want to hit certain points before we call it today. The problem with what I just shared with you briefly is, number one, people chase recognition before readiness. People tend to chase recognition before what? Readiness. So you're not ready for a certain kind of popularity. You're not ready for a certain kind of recognition, but you want to chase it. You want to go after it. Because there's that sweet feeling you seem to get when you think of social validation. And then the next point is you confuse attention with growth. So in your mind, because you have some sense of attention, people are beginning to know you, recognize you. You feel you're growing. Meanwhile, you're not growing, or you're not growing as you ought to. Remember, I made reference to building a house. You're building a house, and you're paying more attention to the aesthetics, the external features. You can do a very shallow foundation and then build on it. You paint it, you did all the skating, you did all the all the stuff you need to do just to make the house look good. And then few months down the line, it comes crumbling down. That is what I mean by confusing attention with growth. The fact that people are now saying, oh, this house is looking so beautiful, it's looking so good. It doesn't in any way communicate the fact that that house is stable. We're also going to look at stability, the need for stability, even as you evolve, even as you grow as a person. Very important. Very important. The next point I want to make, or I want to talk about, is the next thing I want to talk about is the 3 layers of becoming. I call them the 3 layers of becoming. The first layer is what I call the private formation. The private formation. Now, this is a place where habits are formed, discipline is built, character is developed, decisions. You make decisions that nobody is saying. So these are the things you need to pay more attention to. But that's the first layer of formation. People that know me, I would usually say that mentorship is about formation. I'm passionate about mentorship, and over time I've realized, and one of the reasons also why I pay more attention to mentorship is a formative process. It's not an informative process. It's not about giving information. It's about formation. It's about taking you on a growth journey. So the first layer of becoming, of formation, as it were, is the private formation season, where nobody is seen. Those boring moments, those boring seasons, where you need to do certain things, you need to develop certain habits, growth habits. You need to develop discipline, self-discipline. You need to build character. Character. Reputation is who people think you are. Character is who you truly are. It's very important to pay attention to that part of you. Character. And then the next, decisions nobody sees. There are decisions that people don't see. Silent decisions that people don't see. But you see, those decisions, they define you. They define you. Yeah, they define you. Many times we are so interested in what people will say, you are so much into the opinions of people, it doesn't count. You know why? Because if you make decisions based off of those opinions, in a very short time, in the near future, those opinions will no longer matter. But the decisions you made, they are going to speak loudly, because those decisions are going to eventually give birth to certain consequences, certain outcomes. So at that point, the opinion is no longer what counts. It's now the decision you made based off of that opinion that counts. So why make decisions based on the opinions of people? Well, here we are talking about those silent decisions that nobody sees. So this is the first private formation season, and that's the first layer of becoming. The next layer of becoming is what I call the hidden testing season, or the hidden testing layer. Now, this is where you try this, it doesn't work. We call it failure. You try this, it failed. You try this, it failed. Those are the hidden testing seasons. Many persons don't see it. Sometimes, we see some of these high net worth individuals, global figures. We see the wave they are making. You don't go close. You possibly might not have access, but if you are smart enough, what a smart person would do rather is to ask questions. What was your hidden seasons like? How many times did you fail? It might not be the question that you want to ask, but those are important questions. Those are intelligent questions. How many times did you fail? What did you do at those seasons, on those seasons? What decisions did you make? Yes. So that's a season of failure, several failures. I, for one, am one person that have had those seasons in my life where I did a lot of decisions I made that resulted to failure. So number two is delay. It just looks like this is why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long? Do you understand? It's like you're stuck in a particular circle. That's a hidden season. Nobody sees that. Nobody. Many persons don't see it. That's a season you must pay close attention to. It's called the delay season, where it looks like nothing is moving. It's not like nothing is moving in that sense, but it feels like you're not making progress. It feels like you're stuck. Oh, I've had those seasons severally. I can tell you, I can assure you, I've had those seasons severally. Season of silence. You're not hearing anything. Nobody's saying anything. For those of us that that have had certain journeys, Christian journey, there are seasons where God seems to be silent. Yes, God seems to be silent. It's as though God is not saying anything. And it's also that season of repetition. You want to try this over and over and over and over again. So you need to pay attention to that season. Sorry about that. I needed to sort something out. Okay, so the next layer is the public expression. The first layer, the private formation. The second layer, the hidden testing. Now we talk about the public expression. Now that's another very critical layer. And as a matter of fact, this is the layer we so much look forward to. Many persons want to jump the first and the second and come to this point, but it doesn't work that way. Now, this third layer is where you see the influence, those high net worth individuals, that's where they are, right? Recognition, platforms, applause, people are clapping. Oh, this person is doing well, this person is doing well, this person has attained certain level, that's beautiful. But don't be carried away with this season when you see it in the lives of people. You want to ask, before they got to this point? What did they do? What was their first layer like? What was their second layer like? What habits brought them to this point? How many times did they fail that they came for them to be where they are today? You cannot skip layer 1 and layer 2 and expect stability in layer 3. It doesn't work. It's not possible. Remember, I talked about the house. You tried to build a house. You did not pay attention to the foundation. You did not pay attention to the structural bodies. And then you now got to the point of plastering, painting, and you want to do so much at that point. If you did not pay attention to those first two, trust me, that building is not stable. It's only a matter of time, and the instability of that building is going to show. It's not stable. And that's how you are. If you don't pay attention to the first and second layer, you realize that you get to a point where you have the applause, you have the recognition, as it were, but you don't have stability. Sometimes they even, you are expected to do certain things and you cannot deliver. Now, let's go deeper into, this whole subject matter. The next point I want to talk about is why applause is dangerous when premature. Why is applause dangerous when premature? The first thing, it rewards appearance over substance. It rewards appearance over what? Over substance. You cannot be so vested in appearance and not pay attention to the substance. You cannot be so, vested in how people see you or how you look, your ability to be known all around. I mean, it's good, right? There's a popular saying, people don't either buy or patronize the best around. They patronize the best they know. However, if your product, I'm using a different example now, if your product is not quality, if it's not of good quality, people might know you, people will eventually patronize you, but they won't come back. Why? Because yes, you've done everything to appear, you've done everything to show yourself, you've done everything for them to know you, but you don't have what it takes to sustain them. You don't have it. And you cannot sustain people if you don't have substance. Because you're going to come into certain rooms and yes, you have access into those rooms, but what will keep you in those rooms is the substance you're made of. Is what you have taken in. In your layer 1, in your formation season, in your private formation, what did you do? What processes did you take yourself through? Were you invested in books? Were you invested in, building certain habits? Or you were just trying your possible best to be seen? So that's the first thing. It rewards appearance over substance. Number 2, it creates identity inflation. Your identity is just up there. But there's nothing on the ground. There's nothing holding you. There's nothing holding you. Your identity is inflated. You're overhyped, just like we call it. Number 3, it pressures performance instead of authenticity. It pressures what? Performance over authenticity. You are under pressure. That's the best way I can explain it. You're under pressure to perform. You're not real. You're under pressure to keep up with the status quo. That's crazy. You're under pressure to always maintain a particular, status. There's a way they see you, so you don't want to drop your standard because that's not who you are. And because you're trying to make sure you maintain a standard, you always fall short. But there's something about authenticity. There's something about authenticity. And as long as you maintain authenticity, it's only a matter of time. You will grow to the level where you're trying to fit into. Let me explain that again. There is a particular person or there's a particular place you want to get to, right? You are faking it, you are performing to look like you have gotten there. Meanwhile, if you can be authentic enough, only a matter of time, you're going to get there, even without putting up a facade, even without putting up a show. And then the last point I have here, it exposes weak systems. It exposes weak what? Systems. It becomes clear that you don't have the right systems in place. Once you are so interested in applause, it becomes clear. It's almost clear that this person has not really developed himself. He has not put up structures and systems that has helped him thus far. Now, let's go to the next. What builds applause? What are the things that builds applause? Applause is not bad in itself. However, there is a process to it. So the point I want to make tonight is to help you see that as much as you really want the applause, pay more attention to the process that leads to the applause. Your focus should not be the applause. Your focus should be what you have control over. You really don't have control over the applause. The applause comes from men. The applause comes from the society. The applause comes from environment. But what you have control over is the process, the habits, the principles that leads to the applause. Number one is consistency over time. You must build consistency. You must be a consistent person. Just be consistent over a period of time. Number two, discipline in boring seasons. Now, this is a very difficult aspect of the entire subject matter. Being able to discipline yourself over a period of time. And in certain seasons that can be very boring. Reading that book that is not exciting. Being able to wake up at a particular time over a period of time. You've told yourself that you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. and you stick to it for a long period of time. Being disciplined in boring seasons. Boredom is not easy, but it makes great men. I repeat that. Boredom. Being able to enjoy boring activities. Being able to enjoy boring seasons. It's not pleasant. It's not palatable. But trust me, it builds men. It has built great men. Because reading a book is boring. Listening to certain podcasts can be boring. Doing certain activities like going to the gym or having a very good exercise routine can be boring. It can be boring. The next point, emotional control over pressure. Emotional control over pressure. One of the things that come to me, you can call it a strength, is my ability to maintain composure, maintain stability in the face of pressure. I rarely say this thing that people say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I almost don't say it. I would not say I don't, but on very rare occasions, would you hear me say, I'm feeling overwhelmed? Because I have learned how to maintain that emotional stability internally in the face of pressure. And that's something that must be learned. The next point is learning without recognition. You come into your room, you lock yourself, whether you lock yourself or not, you're reading, you're studying, you're researching without anybody seeing you. Not that you possibly read a book and then you have to post it for everybody to know that you finished one book. Makes no sense. Am I saying it's bad? In and of itself, it's not. But what I'm saying is you must learn to develop the habit of learning without recognition. That's the point. Learning what? Without looking for any form of, oh, you're doing a good job. Oh, you've read 5 books. Oh, that's beautiful. If you get it, fine. If you don't get it, can you continue? If you don't get that recognition, can you go on? The next point, values that don't change under attention. Values that don't change under attention. So you claim to be a person of integrity. When certain level of attention come on you, are you still going to be that person of integrity? You claim to be a person of excellence. Will you maintain excellence even when attention is there? That's what I mean by values that don't change under attention. Sincerely, let me be very sincere with you. There's a level of attention that will come on you. You might realize that you're not humble. You might realize that you're not really as sincere as you think you are. You're not. You just didn't have the opportunity to exhibit certain kind of characters. Yes, you just didn't have the opportunity to exhibit them. So it's critical to pay attention to these things. Now, these things are not loud. They are not loud, but they are very salient. They are very important because I've observed that what bets great men, it's not usually loud. It's usually basic, but trivialized. Many times we look for those very, complicated things. We try as much as possible to make sure that it is looking so ambiguous before you know that this is what brings about growth. Meanwhile, great men pay attention to those little things. The Bible calls it little foxes. Some of those, habits that are not they're not helping you. As a matter of fact, they are inhibiting your growth journey. Paying attention to them and doing everything possible to stop or start. At every point in time, you should look out for habits you need to stop and habits you need to embrace and start. The next, right? The next thing is the real meaning of preparation. Now, I want to take some time, and explain this. What is really the meaning of preparation? So when we say, "Oh, I'm preparing for," okay, let me use for example. You say you're preparing for an opportunity. Uh, Maybe you're looking for a job or you're looking for an opening or whatever opportunity. I mean, you're really looking for an opportunity that will announce you, that will give you the kind of life you're looking for. Excuse me. Many times we we see preparation as just being ready for an opportunity, right? Just being ready. I mean, you're open for certain kinds of opportunities, and sometimes we call it positioning. But beyond that, preparation in and of itself, it's becoming someone who does not collapse under opportunity. So when that opportunity comes, what will be your disposition? How would you approach it? How would you embrace it? How would you act? So you're looking for an opportunity and somehow you found yourself in a particular room. And in that room, there are high net worth individuals, global leaders, C-suite executives, such kinds of people in that caliber. Yeah, you are now given an opportunity to maybe deliver a job. Yeah, deliver a job. Maybe you're into certain kind of businesses or certain kind of business, and you're given the opportunity to deliver a job. At that point, I hope you know that an opportunity has surfaced. The question is, are you able to maintain integrity? You see where I talked about values that don't change under attention. Now that you have come into certain rooms, you have been given an opportunity. Are you still the person that maintains integrity? Or are you going to collapse in the face of that opportunity? So preparation is it has various angles to it. You can prepare by positioning. You would also need to prepare by investing in yourself. Preparation is not just, you're looking out for, when is the next meeting or the next conference or the next conclave meeting where you need to go to and be able to meet certain kind of people. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's called positioning, right? You position for opportunities. However, there's also a part of preparation that involves investing in yourself. This will take me back to the layers of becoming. First, I talked about the private formation. This is where it becomes important. Very important. So preparation is not, I'm re-echoing it, so you'd possibly change your paradigm about preparation. Preparation is not, I do business and I'm looking for, I'm looking for an opportunity to do business with governors, ministers. You can position for that. But once you come into that opportunity, what will show that you have prepared for that opportunity? It's not just that you were able to get the opportunity. It's that when you got the opportunity, you did not change. Your personality did not change. You are still an excellent person. You are still, you still have integrity. You still understand the principle of timely delivery. Yeah? Because you've been able to build it as values into yourself. And that's where we must pay more attention to. Now, let me share with you the hidden conflict. Let me briefly, I'll soon be done. Let me share with you the hidden conflict. Now, every person is faced with two competing desires. I shared this, I shared it as a question in the community that I lead, the Mentor Script Africa community. And I asked a question. I said, which desire would you prefer? Which desire do you, how did I ask that question? I think something like, which desire do you feed? Or something like that. Or which desire would you want to be satisfied? Yeah, I think that's how I frame the question. And I say, is it the desire to be seen or the desire to be formed? Inherently, there is these two desires in every human: the desire to be seen, the desire to be formed. Sometimes we are aware of the desire to be formed. However, sometimes we are not. Sometimes we are more carried away with the desire to be seen, and we don't pay attention to the desire to be formed. But it's inherent. It's how we are wired as human beings. We are wired to desire formation, desire growth. You know why I know this? Remember when you were a child, right? You were still trying to crawl, you were still trying to evolve, right? You started with sitting, we're trying to sit. You try to sit, you fall. You don't stop there. You stand up again, with the help of your parents. And then from there, you moved to crawling, right? That's a formation. You were being formed, even from the womb. Without little or no help, you formed from that little zygote little fetus, right? Into a full-grown child in the womb. Then you came out, the entire process, these processes. And then from there, you started crawling. From crawling, you did not stay there. You moved from crawling to walking, from walking to running. That is the inherent nature of the human being, to be formed. However, we got to a point in that entire process where we somehow lost, I won't say we lost it, but we no longer were able to look introspectively to see that desire. Because deep down, there's that desire. Sometimes it is channeled in the wrong direction. Sometimes it's channeled in the right direction. So I'm just trying to establish inherently that desire to be formed. So the question now is, which one should be more important? As a matter of fact, by extension, which one do I have control over? Yes, because you have control over one, but you don't have control over the other one. You have control over the formation, but you really don't have control over the scene. You don't choose if you're seen or not, but you choose the formation. You can put yourself under certain processes that bet a kind of person, but you don't determine if you're seen or not. You can position, you can, you know, do certain things to be seen, but if I don't know, I think it makes sense. The analogy I want to use, right? If a young lady is doing everything possible, ladies, pardon me, please, pardon me, but I think this is the most vivid analogy that comes to mind. If a young lady is trying everything possible for a guy to notice her, everything. Maybe she's trying to be a bit seductive and she's doing all her body, she's just, and somehow the young guy is not even aware that somebody's around. Are you aware that that lady is doing everything to be seen, but she's not being seen? So that's a typical example of, you are positioning to be seen, but you don't have control over people seeing you. It might take a while, but you have control over the formation. You can put yourselves through certain processes, and in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to become a kind of person. You're going to take note, you're going to become a kind of person. So you have control over it. One thing I've learned is that outcomes are predictable. Outcomes can be predicted. You can say, this is the outcome I want, and you put yourself under certain processes to bet that outcome. They're predictable. So most persons choose visibility, but the strong ones, the strong people, and the people that are smart, they choose formation first. Because if you can be properly formed, in due time, you'll be seen. But you'll not only just be seen, it will be sustainable. I repeat that. If you pay more attention to formation, to being formed, to becoming a kind of person, you will first be seen, but you will not just be seen, it will be sustained. So the interest is not just to be seen, the interest is to have a sustained visibility. You don't want to just go viral, as we call it. You go viral, and in the next 6 months, you're nowhere to be found. The only reason that will happen is that you've not built yourself, you've not built substance, you've not built content. You just painted the container, but there's nothing inside the container. You've not built systems. You have not built certain values into yourself. So it becomes important to pay more attention to formation first, and in due time. If it is foreseen, you will definitely be seen. The timeline might be different. What I mean is, for someone that is positioning to be seen, the person might be seen faster. For you that is not positioned to be seen, you will be seen, but you'll be seen later. Do you understand? What that means is person A and person B will be seen. But if person A is positioning, he's showing up, he's doing stuff, he's, creating stuff, coming up with ideas, possibly showing up on social media, doing all the things he needs to do, maybe in the next 1 year, 2 years, he'll be everywhere. Person B, on the other hand, is not really doing so much, but he's just doing the much he can, just doing the little he can. It might take longer, but he will still be seen, except he decides not to show up at all, which is foolishness to me. Because if you have invested so much in yourself, it's only wisdom. And I also feel it's also inherent in the human to pour out. At every point in time, you're giving up, or you're giving up byproduct, you're giving up something, you're pouring out something. Currently now, I'm sweating because there's water inside, right? You've eaten, you've taken in so much food. After a while, you're going to the toilet. So it's inherent in humans as well. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about as I round up is I want to talk about leadership insight. I want to just share a little leadership insights to this, right? Now, strong leaders are not made when they are followed. They are made when they are unseen but still consistent. What really makes you a leader is not just that people are following you. Yes. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and it was Vusi Temukwayo. He was trying to emphasize the importance of leading yourself first before you lead others. Leading yourself first is more important than leading others, right? He talked about 4 levels of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it 4 levels of leadership, but 4 levels to leadership. I think I'll position it that way. Leading self, leading people, leading teams, and leading society, or leading businesses and leading society. So the first is always yourself, and that's the foundation. Leading yourself happens in the secret. First, it starts in the secret. So before you talk about leading others, you must be able to lead yourself. And that's why strong leaders are not made when they are followed. They are not made when people follow them. They are made when they are unseen, but still consistent. So when people are not seeing you as a leader, but you maintain consistency. People are not seeing you, but you are reading. People are not seeing you, you're developing yourself. You're stretching yourself. You're developing your mind. You're doing research. You're growing in that your craft. You're showing up. You're consistent with whatever you're doing. That's what makes you a leader. Because essentially, a leader is not just somebody that is followed. A leader is somebody that influences. You don't influence people when you have not developed yourself, when you have not led yourself. Your ability to lead yourself first. People are influenced by the you they see, not by the you say. I'll repeat that line. People are influenced by the you they see, not by the you that you say you are. So it's not by what you say, it's about who you are, and they see it. They see it by the life you live. So that's why influence is majorly about leading yourself. You can't separate influence from leadership. The same way we cannot separate influence from leading self. So as I summarize, right, it's very important to understand that the goal is not applause. This is the only thing you take from tonight's session. The goal is not applause. It's not. Please take note of this. The goal is not applause. Applause is the byproduct of who you are becoming in silence, in your secret place, in your closet. Those boring seasons, who are you becoming? It is that person that is the focus. Remember, I said this particular area, you have control over it, but you don't have control over your applause. It can come when it wants to come. So don't attach emotion to applause. Whether it comes or not, fine. Fine. Don't attach any form of emotion to it. You have control over who you become. And that is what you should pay attention to. Who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? So before the applause, there is a person. Before the applause, there is a what? There's a person. So before people start clapping for Valentine, I need to become that kind of person. It's not about the facade. It's not about the visibility, the recognition. It's about who you become. It's about the processes. It's about the value system. It's about the things you have put inside yourself. Because eventually it is those things that you've put inside yourself that is going to show forth. That's what people are going to see. You might put up a certain kind of, um, performance for a while. And it could fly for a while. Take note, for a while. But when the chips are down, just like we say, when the chips are down, people are going to say, this person was not really as intellectually sound like he claimed to be. And you don't want that. You want a situation whereby as you enter into rooms, people are saying, I think you were, they spoke lightly of you. The person that I'm seeing, the person that I'm listening to is way more weightier than the person I heard of. Not that people see you and the person they heard of is even better than the person they are seeing. You failed. I'm telling you, you failed. So don't be in a hurry to get visibility and be recognized or be given applause. Focus on becoming the kind of person that when the applause comes, you are not moved. When the applause comes, you don't change, you don't switch, you don't try to perform. You are you. You're growing, you're becoming. And at every point I think I should also add that applause comes in levels. It comes in levels. The applause should also work in line with the level you are in per time. This is my philosophy. The kind of applause someone like Tony Elumelu gets at his level is not the kind of applause that, who else will I use that is kind of popular? I mean, I can use myself, right? Let me not go too far. At my level, there's a kind of applause I get. There's a kind of recognition I get at my level. So what happens is, as I grow in my journey, and as I become, the applause should grow with it. So don't jump to get to a certain level of applause when you have not grown to that level. Grow with the applause, or let the applause grow with your journey. All right, so I think at this point, I want to stop. I really want to appreciate everyone that has joined till this time. We have our Crypt Talk series every third Thursdays of the month. Now, this is the May edition of our Crypt Talk series. Crypt Talk series is a monthly teaching session organized by Mentors Crib Africa. And we're going to be having a very amazing time next month, sometime next month. We're going to be having a 3 days conference tagged Mentorship Conference. And the theme is Reimagined. We are trying to reshape the way people see mentorship, right? One of the things that can also help you, focus more on becoming and the formation is having a mentor. I didn't have time to really talk about that, but that's also something we're going to look at even in the conference next month. So if you're listening to me, I really want to, encourage you to be there. Um, if you are not, in the WhatsApp group, or maybe you're viewing this from my Facebook account or from the YouTube account, you can definitely get, you can register. The link is in my bio, so you can register. Or you can also visit MentorScript Facebook account to also register, right? Or you can drop a message, and definitely somebody is going to follow you up to ensure that you are added to the room and you are part of that conversation. It's not one you want to miss, right? Trust me, it's going to be an amazing time. We're going to be having powerful guests. We're going to be having over 5 speakers and myself as well. So it's something you really want to be part of, right? So, like I said, we have this series every month. The next series is coming up next month. However, the next month series is going to be in line with our conference because it's almost the same, time. So we're going to be using the conference to have those conversations around mentorship, how to position, whether as a mentor, as a mentee, how to get the best out of the mentor-mentee relationship, and also helping people to embrace mentorship as a life system for growth, structured growth, and impactful living. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of this session. Even to this point, I believe you got value. If you have questions, please do well to drop them in the comment section, and I'm going to attend to them. The call is going to be on for a while, so if you have a question, please do well to drop it, and we're going to address them or possibly send you a direct message to answer whatever question you have. Once again, thank you so much. I'll see you again next month, 18th of June, 18th to 20th of June. Please, you don't want to miss it. Even if you don't register, or even if you haven't registered, do well to go to our YouTube channel, MentorScript. Search MentorScript on YouTube, and you see us there. You can definitely come on that day, and you're going to be part of the conference. Hope you were heavily blessed by this session. See you in the next one. Have a nice day.